Don't stop. You're under arrest.
You divide my constitutional right! Oh, God, you're tender! I'm going to the
Monroe County 911.
We need EMS and right. We have CPR in progress.
How long's he been down, do you know?
I do not.
Officers were dispatched to a business to assist an elderly customer who appeared to be suffering from dementia.
Hey partner, how's it going?
I'm fixing to go get my buddy and
At the scene, officers found him extremely confused. He thought that the year was 1948
Day is it?
It's 1948, ain't it?
1948?
and that the president was George Washington.
Who's president?
George Washington.
George Washington?
So they called the man's daughter to come pick him up. So how did things go so terribly wrong that day that this 4-year-old man ended up dying alone in a jail cell 9 hours later, confined to a restraint chair with a hood over his head? The story of Lester Isbell is one that could happen to anyone. He wasn't a criminal. He was a good man. He had committed no crime. Yet he would nevertheless fall victim to this terrible death at the hands of the very people who were supposed to protect and care for him. A lawsuit has just been filed a few days ago by Lester's family. These are the allegations, and they are truly unbelievable. Welcome back to the Audit Files. I expose government abuses against everyday Americans to defend your constitutional rights. On the 6th of February, 2025, after being confined in a restraint chair for over 9 hours with a spit hood over his head, Lester Isbell died alone in a jail cell. He was 74 years old. Lester was the proud father of 2 daughters, 11 grandchildren, and 10 great-grandchildren. He was a lifelong resident of Monroe County, Tennessee, and a man of faith who preached for 36 years at a local church. In 2022, Lester retired from preaching, opting to spend his days working on his farm and spending time with his family. But as his health deteriorated, he began to require the assistance of a walking stick. He developed numerous medical issues, including diabetes, high blood pressure, mild dementia, and many strokes. On February 6th, Lester drove to Security Finance located at 440 Isbell Road. That's right, the same last name as Lester in Madisonville, Tennessee. He was going to pay his bill as he always did. While in Security Finance, Lester became disoriented and confused. He was unable to even stand up. So, at around 12:20 p.m., a concerned Security Finance employee called 911 on Lester's behalf.
We have an elderly customer, and he's got health issues, and he's very disorientated right now.
Is he wanting an ambulance?
No, he's not wanting anything. We're afraid to let him drive. He's very disorientated right now. He's 75.
Soon after, officers Foister and Moore with the Madisonville, Tennessee Police Department are dispatched to the scene and told by the dispatcher that an elderly man who is very confused and disoriented and who may have dementia or other medical issues requires assistance.
Security Finance, they have an elderly male there that's very confused, disoriented. They don't want an ambulance. They just want an officer to come out there and talk to him, see if they can maybe find the next of kin to bring him, take him home. They're not sure if he's got dementia or what's going on with him.
Note that they were not told that any crime was committed or alleged to have occurred. So about 10 minutes later, the officers arrive at Security Finance. When the officers arrive, Lester is sitting there in his car with his door open, and he's talking to some people. Officers Foister and Moore walk to Lester's open car door, and they begin to ask him questions.
Hey partner, how's it going?
I'm fixing to go get my buddy and go to...
Okay. Here, let me hold on to this stick for you.
There you go.
That way you
I've
don't...
done a whole bunch of...
That's fine. Hey, you remember me?
That was I'm not finished.
You remember me? You remember Forrester?
But in response to their questions, Lester's answers are incoherent, and he trails off without even finishing his seemingly confused thoughts. Foyer asks Lester what day it is, to which he replies, "It's 1948, ain't it?"
Day is it?
It's 1948, ain't it?
1948?
Then Foister asks Lester who the president is, and Lester says George Washington.
Who's president?
George Washington.
George Washington?
Foister then asks Lester what month it is, to which he replies, "I don't even know what year it is."
What month is it?
I don't even know what year it is.
You don't know what year it is?
Foyer then steps away from Lester's car and he contacts dispatch and he states that Lester is very confused and a possible diabetic. Soon after, Foister calls Lester's daughter to request her to come to Security Finance to pick up her father.
I think I'm out with your father by chance. Apparently he was at like Security Finance and he's a normal customer there, but he started acting disoriented and dropping his money and about fell. So we called EMS, but he's not wanting to go to the hospital, but he seems kind of disoriented and he doesn't need to drive. Is there any way somebody can come out here and pick him up? I mean, I've dealt with your dad before. It doesn't seem normal to me how he's acting.
Foister then walks back to Lester's car, and he's told that Lester is experiencing some type of seizure.
Oh, windy either.
Then
You
you
want
couldn't
a
tell
good
us
drink of
what
water?
city.
What's that?
This ain't got no chlorine in it.
His vitals are checked. His blood pressure is extremely high. His pulse rate and his oxygen levels are very low, and this indicates a hyperintensive crisis, a medical emergency requiring immediate attention. Throughout this encounter, Lester goes in and out of trances and is silently sort of stares off in the middle of conversations with the officers. During one of Lester's trances, they say that's not normal and he's in stroke range because, as they acknowledged, his blood pressure was through the roof.
That's not normal. Lester.
At 12:57 p.m., although Lester Isbell has not violated any law, Officer Foister gives him 3 options: go to the hospital, go with your daughter, or go to jail.
You're either having a medical issue, you're under the influence,
Oh, it's your medicine.
and that's it. So,
Let me go take care of my business.
so you go to the hospital?
I better go pay for my tires for my
We're not
tractor.
doing that. You have 2 options.
I ain't got no option.
Two
I ain't going to
options.
jail too.
One or the other.
Lester tells officers Foister and Moore to leave him alone and let him be. At about 1 p.m., Officer Foister demands that Lester get out of his car. And when he is taken out of the car, Lester, who is neither under arrest nor has violated a law, requests to go to the bathroom, and he attempts to walk off, but the officers stop him. Lester then urinates on himself in the parking lot in front of several people. At 1:05 p.m., although it was obvious, the on-scene medical personnel tells the officers that Lester's behavior is a medical issue because his blood pressure is high.
You think it's medical or something?
It's medical because his blood pressure's high.
When Lester's daughter arrives at the scene, Officer Foister tells her that Lester's blood pressure is really high and his heart rate is low.
His blood pressure is really high. Yeah. Heart rate's low. He's refusing to go. We can't talk him into going.
Somebody else.
Hey,
He says he's not going with you.
Listen, your blood pressure's really high, Dad, and your heart rate's low. It won't hurt to
Let me get my
to
blood
get charged
pressure.
down
You
a
tell
little
me.
Are
bit.
you taking him or no?
Yeah, I'll
Okay.
take him.
All right, we're not dealing with.
At 1:08 p.m., Lester continues to speak unintelligible and again tries to walk off, but Officer Moore restrains him, and Lester again tells Moore and Foister to let him go, to get away from him, and to turn him loose. But instead, the officers decide to arrest Lester as soon as he signs the refusal for medical treatment form. Because Lester is incoherent and making rambling and disjointed statements, the refusal for medical treatment form is never actually presented to him, and so it's never actually signed. Rather, the medical refusal form is presented to Lester's daughter, who is then told that she's basically required to sign it. The officers tell her that they will make sure that her father receives medical care and treatment.
All they want to do is
All they
take
want to
you
do.
out and then let you go. They're going to get your levels
Well,
up, and that's it. You're looking at a couple hours, and then you'll be ready to go.
God.
But once she signs the form, instead the officers put Lester in handcuffs.
Turn me loose.
Oh, you hit with stormtroopers or something? Come on, get up here.
You hurt my arm. Quit. I'm going to get picked to go up there alone.
I'm coming.
Officers Foister and Moore are fully aware at this time that Lester Isbell is experiencing a serious medical episode and that they do not have probable cause to arrest him. Throughout the interaction, they had observed numerous signs of a serious medical emergency.
And maybe you guys know who to contact for some kind of mental crisis people or anything?
I'll let the jail know and see if they can't contact mobile crisis or something like that.
But instead of obtaining appropriate medical care for Lester, at 1:18 p.m., almost 50 minutes after their arrival at the scene, the officers handcuff Lester, load him in a police car, and then transport him to the Monroe County Jail.
You divide my constitutional right! Freedom of speech! And the pursuit of happiness! Oh, God. I gotta go get my tires for my tractor so I can use it at home. Please! It's a Maris Ferguson 1965. All right, my dear son, tell me stop. He got tell me stay.
Lester is then charged with disorderly conduct, a Class C misdemeanor. Despite knowing about Lester's medical condition after he was arrested, the officers began to falsely allege that Lester was on something and state other facts in an attempt to fabricate justification for their arrest. At 1:27 p.m., the officers pull into the Monroe County Jail, Sallyport. Officer Moore says, maybe Lester can get some help. He also says something in Lester's brain is not functioning. At 1:30 p.m., Foister tells a jail co that Lester is disorderly, that he resisted a little bit, and that he's kind of loud and mouthy. As Lester is being removed from the patrol car, he sounds scared. He makes incoherent statements, he asks unintelligible questions, and he calls for his dog.
Wait a minute. Why did you go out and come over? Oh, God, you're tender. I'm at the office. Oh, please.
TK Health, a for-profit LLC from Oklahoma, provides medical and mental health services at Monroe County Jail. Staff knew Lester from a recent prior DUI arrest months earlier, later dismissed, so they knew his history and medical issues. Previously, they evaluated him for psychological episode and chest pains, stripped him, and placed him in a padded suicide smock in cell BK10. This time, they did not. At 1:38 p.m., officers carried Lester into non-padded cell BK13, removed his belt, shoes, socks, and watch, and left him alone. At 1:42 p.m., he fell and hit his head and face hard on the concrete bench, causing visible injury. TK Health provided no assessment or care. At 1:50 p.m., despite clear medical distress, extremely high blood pressure, low oxygen, low pulse, they removed his pants and forcibly strapped him into a restraint chair. LPN Courtney Woods, present and responsible for his care, did no evaluation or vital checks, nor did she address his head injury. Lester was immobilized in a seated position, chair facing away from the door so staff couldn't observe him. He remained restrained for over 9 hours with no water, no bathroom, no proper checks. By 3:50 p.m., a spit hood was placed over his head while staff laughed. His extremities discolored. He writhed in distress, yelling and struggling desperately. LPN Woods and later LPN Greg Mills failed to assess or treat his worsening condition. At around 11 p.m., after 9 continuous hours totally immobilized, Lester stopped breathing and died.
Monroe County 911.
Hello, this is Deputy Reagan over jail. We need EMS en route. We have CPR in progress.
Okay, we'll send him over there. How long's he been down, do you know?
I do not.
An autopsy ruled Lester's death a homicide, noting strokes in the brain. Dehydration and prolonged restraint in the chair were listed as contributing factors. On the 4th of June 2025, Sheriff Tommy Jones issued a statement defending the jail staff. He claimed Lester was uncooperative, so they placed him in the restraint chair to calm him. After reviewing the footage, the only thing he punished was one employee giving the middle finger to the camera. The guy was immediately fired. But prosecutors saw it differently. Months later, most involved jail and medical staff were indicted, angering the sheriff. He insisted only TK Health employees were to blame, saying his staff had done nothing wrong and any policy violations were already handled. 5 current and former jail employees were charged with official misconduct. LPN Courtney Woods was charged with criminally negligent homicide. LPN Greg Mills was charged with false reporting. All charges are still pending. Just days ago, on February 6th, Lester's estate filed a federal civil rights lawsuit against the city of Madisonville, officers Foister and Moore, TK Health, Courtney Woods, and Greg Mills. The county had already settled claims against it for $1.9 million. The video evidence clearly shows everyone knew Lester was in a medical emergency, yet they failed in their constitutional duty to provide him care.
I think it's medical or something.
It's medical because his blood pressure's high.
That's the only reason that officers were called to security finance that day. Yet, after making the decision to take him into custody, they failed at basically every opportunity to provide care for this man. The arresting officers failed, the jail codes failed. Most egregiously, the medical staff paid by the taxpayers to provide constitutionally adequate medical care to inmates really couldn't have done a worse job than they did.
Monroe County 911.
We need EMS en route. We have CPR in progress.
How long's he been down, do you know?
I do not.
They not only did nothing, they did worse than nothing. They put Lester in a restraint chair only designed for a maximum of 2 hours of use on a prisoner who is not suffering a medical emergency. Then they left him there for 9 hours without checking on him, without water, without a single bathroom break, but with a hood over his head. Lester suffered an absolutely terrifying and horrible death alone and away from his family. That the sheriff of that county didn't immediately fire everyone involved is egregious. If you or I were at home taking care of an elderly parent and we just strapped them into a chair and left them there until they died, would there be consequences for us? What do you think? Let me know in a comment. At least now there is some accountability in the works. Criminal prosecutions of those involved as well as the civil lawsuit. May I suggest one other item of accountability? As a citizen of good old Monroe County, West Virginia, I don't think my fellow Monroe County would put up with having a sheriff who would defend what happened to Lester Isbell, especially while at the same time costing them $1.9 million as a result of that conduct that he's defending. Maybe you want to get rid of that guy. But at the same time, these are allegations from the complaint in the lawsuit. No depositions have been taken yet in the civil lawsuit, and none of the criminal trials have yet occurred. I guess that's why they build courthouses. We'll just have to wait and see what facts actually get proven in court. The lawsuit was just filed, so it's got a ways to go. I look forward to following this one and doing an update as it progresses. Subscribe to my channel so you don't miss future updates. Don't forget to arm yourself with solid legal knowledge to protect yourself from those scumbags hiding behind police uniforms. See you next time.